Fuck it, we're going with it.
We're going with
this.
You rolling with it?
We're in Studio B now.
That's it. We are in Studio B.
Hey, we moved from Studio A to Studio B.
Welcome back to the Studio B. How you doing, buddy?
Welcome back. I'm doing good. How you doing?
Good to see you.
I'm not falling for that again. I'm not falling for that again.
What are you talking about?
You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah, that thing.
Last week.
Welcome back. If you missed last week's first podcast, you might want to check it out because it was fun.
It was really fun.
It was
Brian?
Fun.
That's Brian?
Yeah, I'm Brian, and he's
Chris.
Chris. Hey, Chris.
How you doing?
Good, buddy. How are you, man?
Why are we even here?
Well, we're here to talk about everything we know or don't know or what they might know about running.
Yep, that's
And
pretty
actually,
much it.
but for me, the more important thing is why.
Why?
Why? Anyone can run.
Right.
Well, I say most anyone can run. You know, I mean, we've all been doing it for, well, I say some of us have been doing it for a while. So when I was thinking about it, I need to find it. We've had this conversation, but I still have the trophy when I was 12 or 13. So my uncle, who's a runner,
Right.
he used to do marathons and whatever else. And so he's chief of police in Oak Ridge North, which is by the Woodlands. And he was doing a run. And I said, oh, I want to run it. I want to run it. So, of course, I was probably the only one, but I got first place in my age group, and I got a trophy.
Oh, wow.
But the cool thing was even that's more than that, from over 40 years ago, there's a gentleman that had cancer that basically ran and walked with me the whole time to get through that run.
Oh, wow, that's nice. So you got first place?
I got first place in my age group.
Dang.
Now, I probably
so
wasn't.
nobody else was in your age group?
That's what I was saying. I was probably the only one in my age group. I was probably the only one in my age group. So,
Hey,
but anyway.
first is first.
Yeah,
If you
well,
ain't first, you're last.
Well, and I'm usually last a lot, but that's okay though. But I mean, again, I don't care if I'm.
Yeah.
I don't, you know. So we talked about. I may have mentioned a guy named Robert Key. I don't know if you've ever met him or not. He goes by Grandpa.
I have not.
So he is a. And forgive me, Grandpa.
This had to be a snowdrop,
Key.
right?
Well, actually, but what's funny is not even out of snowdrop, because I want to say he's a 13-time Ironman finisher.
Wow.
But you know, he talks about the helping others,
Right.
you know, to reach a point, to maybe, you know, to set a goal, to set a time. So, matter of fact, him and another lady, they are the last ones to do the Chevron Marathon. Him and another lady, they're the last pacers that go through it.
Okay.
6 hours or 5
Right.
hours and 59 minutes or whatever it is.
Nice.
So anyway, yeah.
So, I was thinking, on the way over here, I was listening to a podcast. It's called
You listen.
Happy. Yeah, I listen to quite a few podcasts, a lot. So if you got a good one, send it to me. I'll listen to it. I promise you. And I really enjoy listening to podcasts, and so it really
Yes, you do.
put me on fire about wanting to start a podcast. I thought, wow, that'd be kind of cool to get out there into that world and see if anything we say is interesting, because I think everybody's stories are interesting.
I
But
agree.
today they were talking. It was a trail podcast, so I thought, you know, it'd be fun because Brian is not really a trail guy yet. So one of my jobs of this podcast is for us to convince him how trails that he's going to end up. You're going to end up being a trail guy before this is over.
Okay. We're thinking of two different trails because the rodeo's coming up this weekend. They're doing the trail rides.
We're not talking about that kind of trail.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Okay.
Come on,
so
running
back-
trails, bro. Running trails. You know, we live in Houston, so the running trails are very limited, but there is quite a few trails. Dirt. Let's just call it dirt.
Yeah,
Running on
there are a
dirt,
lot
right?
of
lot of
trip hazards out there. Yes.
Yes, true that.
In mud,
There's a
in elevation,
yeah, but that's fun.
and rocks.
That's fun stuff. It's fun to fall. See, it might take us a while. But to your point about, you were talking about them and helping others.
Yes.
So something that will, as time goes, you'll learn about except I think we should probably interview people and hear other people's stories, bring them on the podcast, do that. Once we get technology better, once we start figuring this stuff out a little bit more.
Right.
Maybe Studio C next.
Okay.
Who knows? Maybe we got Studio A, Studio B, maybe Studio C.
That'll work.
But something that on the podcast they were talking about made me think about this was that how trail, when you get into the trail community, it's almost like, I'm going to say rite of passage, but I don't know if that's the right saying to use, but you volunteer. You give back. You give back to that's how it works, because all the races are run by mostly volunteers. So if you're running these races, you should be trying to help when you can volunteer. You should be trying to help other people, pace other people at their long distances or whatever, be there to crew them, to help them. A lot of those, it's the same thing you're talking about. It's just in a different environment.
Right.
And it's really like it kind of it's almost like if everybody went into trail running and nobody gave back, then there would be no trail running.
Well, no, and you're right, because and we'll mention a few. I know like one of your favorite, the Jackalope Jam.
Right.
There's a lot of and what is it called? Trail runners, what's the big trail group? Anyway, so we'll
trail group where?
Somebody will come up with the ones that puts on these events. Who puts on Jackalope?
So Jackalope is Trail Racing Over Texas.
Trail Racing Over Texas, yeah. So and then y'all do that one in Park in Huntsville.
That is Tejas Trails.
Tejas Trails.
That's the Rocky Raccoon.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
That's the name of the race.
I want to do one called the Rocky Possum, just because it's Texas.
Right.
Anyway, I'm just kidding. Or armadillo. I'm sorry, armadillo.
So what's new this week in your life? Anything new going on?
Not for me, but for you. You have surgery coming up.
Oh, I'm really kind of scared about that. I can tell you a funny story real quick.
But I hope it helps, because man. Anyway. I'm
not that kind of surgery.
Foot surgery, yeah.
Foot
yeah.
surgery.
Yeah.
So hopefully I have foot surgery, maybe 6 weeks recovery, then I can start moving again. They're going to do a plantar's fasciitis release and a heel spur, grind it down. It's not a long story. They said it's only like 20 minutes, but I'm happy now. I got the clearance today. Barely they told me I was cleared, because I was supposed to do it 2 weeks ago. Didn't have the proper labs, got all that stuff finally done. And they finally told me it's good to go, but it's going to be about $3,000. So I had to spend a little bit of money, a lot of Uber trips.
That's right.
To get that done. But I've never been so excited about doing the surgery, because I have been really, really depressed for a long time, not being able to actually run. And that has led to a lot of other things that we could probably talk about at another time, because I think it's a whole nother podcast to talk about.
Did you clear with your psychiatrist first?
No, maybe I'll, sometimes I pick those up in my Uber and they hear my life stories, but I have not cleared it with him yet.
Okay.
So, you know what they say about that, right?
No.
Me neither. I was hoping you was gonna know what to say.
I probably should. They say, I do wear a white coat 4 days a week.
I gotta ask you. I gotta tell everybody a little quick story. So when we're trying to set this up today, we're in Studio B, and I picked up this guitar. Well, it's not here now. I wanted to put a different guitar back in here, and so I grabbed the guitar. I said, "Hey, I want to move and put a different one. Something people might wonder, and I might want to see something that looks." Like, he picked one most people watching this probably still will not know, but I thought, I really like Morgan Wallen, so he picked Zach Top. But when I grabbed the other one, Dwight somebody, I picked him up and I moved him, and I said, it's okay to set it down over here. So I go to set it down, and some noise happens and something falls out of it. And oh my God, you would think that it was the end of the world. This dude starts basically yelling at me. What the heck? And I'm saying nice words, because he was like, what are you doing? Why'd you do that? Why? I don't even know what he was talking about. Mm-hmm. But then I realized that he told me there was a pick inside. And I was like, So I need y'all to settle this debate. If I grabbed it, I'm going to move it. Okay. And then I move it. And then once I drop something out of it that I didn't know was in there, then I get yelled at. Then I'm in trouble. That was a setup, right? Setup totally set me up to get in trouble, because you didn't tell me when I went to go grab it the first time, hey man, be careful with that one. There's a pick inside there. That would have been the right thing to say. But no, he wanted to yell at me later. And so now I'm in the doghouse and I don't want to touch any more guitars.
So there's always the, as they say, 3 sides to the story. My side, and the truth.
your side, and the truth.
So the thing is, you would think if you would go to grab it, you would look to see what you're grabbing, because what it was there's a guitar pick. Now, in that Dwight somebody was an artist by the name of Dwight Yoakam. Okay, so some people may not know who Dwight Yoakam is. I get that.
I've kind of heard the name, but
yeah.
Is he still alive?
Yes, he's still alive. So anyway, but it had a guitar pick in it, and it was a stage used or whatever type of guitar pick. So, but there's there's backstage pass in this one, backstage pass in this one, backstage pass in this one, backstage pass in this one. There's a pass in that one. So the pass in that one, 2 guitar picks in. So there's.
So to get a little bit of understanding about all what you were just saying, because it sounded like probably nobody understood what you said.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that your collection? How many guitars do you have in our studio?
370.
What started you? So you collect guitars?
Yes.
Are all of them signed?
300 and
so like 90-something%.
60. Oh yeah.
Oh, crap.
365.
So that's the main goal though, to have them signed, right?
Well, again, but the main goal, it's nice to have them signed.
Right.
And then the thing is, I don't go and just go to an artist and chase them to get them signed.
Right.
So
they could cost to get them
interview.
signed, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there is. I guess there's some that has that possibility.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but again, the main purpose is, I hate to say it, but I'm worth more dead than alive. So stuff goes to charity. Each charity, so I need to up, but each charity gets 10 guitars, and they're kind of divided because I'm looking over there and I see Night Ranger, Cinderella, Slash from Guns N' Roses, and then like you say, there's a Morgan Wallen, and then there's even Chad Prather, and then there's Ozzy and Ace Frehley, and there's Natalie Grant, and there's there's these different artists. So the thing is kind of depend upon.
So what you're saying is, when you die,
it all goes to charity.
All of them go to charity, but they're kind of split up to
charities.
different charities.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, but and the thing is, and I will say this, and on camera, I do apologize for earlier, but there was also my Princess guard dog here that I didn't want her to get that pick in. Look, the thing is,
I understand.
She's chewed, but I didn't want her to choke on it.
I know.
So then that's the thing, because I thought, and thank goodness she didn't, I thought she ate my TV remote.
Well, for some reason.
But I have this buddy that likes to come over and just treat this thing like a spa country club and kick the thing back and knock stuff over, and then I can't find remotes, and so.
I'm glad he's not here today.
Yeah, right.
I'm glad he's not here today. I'm glad you got more than one friend.
Anyways, yeah.
So you're saying you have more than one friend?
1.5, maybe.
1.5.
Yeah, one human and one not. No, I'm just kidding. So, no, but but one thing we were thinking about is, but I don't have any other than Snowdrop. I don't have any run charities that I've donated because I know there was Big Love. Shout out to Jim Abney there. Different things like races.
Who's Jim Abney?
Orange Slice. So again, I'm gonna say it again.
Can we get him on this? Can we get him on this thing?
Oh yes.
We get him on the podcast.
Yeah, because matter of fact,
he's a big time Snowdrop guy, right?
Big time. Well,
I met him. That's right. I met him at Snowdrop this year when we were there. Right. That was the first time I met him.
And the thing is, but for him, he's more than Snowdrop.
Right.
So, but even in what he does, as far as his career stuff, even though he's retired.
Well, let's don't tell his story.
Yeah. No. I'm not. No, but
we can let him do that.
Well, I will say, but he is. From all the years of Snowdrop, he is one of them that has completed, buckled every year.
Wow, nice.
So, yeah.
Well, I can't wait to meet him, talk to him more. I do remember when we met him, I took a picture for y'all, and I took a picture with him. We were chatting a little bit because I remembered he lived in Santa Fe from his Facebook profile, and that's where several of my kids live, and he actually knew my son-in-law.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they talked about.
He knows my son-in-law.
A shop.
He's an ET Lockouts. So
yeah, that's what it was.
He's a locksmith, and does great, and he's really, really known in that area. So, and of course, he knew him. And when I sent him the picture of my son-in-law Jordan, he says, "Oh yeah, I know Mr. Abney." You know, so it's crazy, and he don't live too far from him either. So
that is funny.
We might have to drive out there and do it at Studio on the Road Studio.
Studio Abney.
Hey, how
Orange
about that?
Slice. But yeah, so it's
pretty cool. I think that'd be a good thing for us to do, like, because sometimes we don't have a subject, or we're going to think of a way to have a subject, but we kind of just shooting off. But we know Snowdrop is going to be a big part of this whole podcast journey. I just want to make sure we reiterate that every time. Like, Snowdrop is kind of what's guiding us, so we won't make the whole podcast always about Snowdrop, but that is going to be something that we're both working towards. So you kind of get to see once we start, I mean, we're two runners on a running podcast that ain't running right now.
Right. Well,
you haven't ran since, how long has it been since you actually ran?
I haven't ran since the 2 years ago.
Before
when
you
I
did
buckled,
that last.
when I did the ultra.
Right.
Well, yeah, matter of fact, I didn't even run the ultra because I couldn't
didn't,
run.
Exactly. You told
I
that
couldn't
story
run it
last
because I
time.
walked the whole thing. Yeah,
exactly.
So,
and
anyway.
I haven't ran in, like, I did mostly hiking, and I haven't ran in months. And so we're two guys.
Well, but here's a cool thing we talk about. So we've talked about it, but I know for him it's kind of tough to discuss things. But we talked about doing doing a little Enchanted Rock and some other things. Was it July?
Yes, in July.
So if anybody wants to join us, we only have to do a background check and all that. We'll be.
Yeah, right. Make sure we don't get no crazy. Well, there's only 3 people watching this.
Well, yeah,
so we know them.
That's right. Plus, we'll have to check out your Facebook page and make sure you're not one of those crazy world record setting ultra runners, and we're trying to walk.
Hey, here's a good point for you off of that, because you're talking about that. So something you will learn is I've met some of the nicest ultra runners that can run around. No, not you. That can run. So the first one that comes to my mind is Nick from I met him at Jackalope Jam, and he actually won that year. Well, he has the course record. It's like 283 miles.
Wow.
He shared a lot of miles with me. Not a lot, but he shared enough miles with me when he would just walk with. He would walk with me.
Okay.
He would actually walk with and just talks to me on social media. We chat. He got married, right after that, not too long ago, him and his wife, and she's such a nice lady. She chats with me. When I was having the foot problem, she was giving me some videos to do things to help my foot with. I mean, there's so many nice people, and the pace, where you finish doesn't really matter. Like we get in our heads thinking, oh, well, they're fast, I can't talk to them, or they're human beings just like us. And I think that's why I like trail so much. I'm not just a trail runner, I'm also a trail fan of even the elites in the trail running. So me and Lisa kind of talk about this sometimes. She's not big into watching the live streams and all that. I love watching that stuff. So yeah, you and her it's the same, but I like watching all that. She's like, well, I'm not trying to tell her opinion about it, but basically from what I got from it, elites is not something that lights her fire, right? Which I'm okay with that. And they don't, but I like to look at it like, they're just like people too. Even though they can run a course record, I'll listen to their podcast, and I like to hear someone that's like a superhero to me, what their story is, and it's so freaking similar. No, you're not the superhero, bro. Well, you kind of are. You kind of are. You kind of are the superhero.
No, I'm kidding.
But I like hearing those stories of those elites on those podcasts. That you hear how they grew up, how they did things. They're all human, just like us. They've been through the same stuff. We all put our pants on the same way.
So
everybody.
I briefly kind of told you, and it'd be interesting to see what maybe Nick's story is. So I kind of told you this. The first run that I really remember was my uncle's run. So and then that kind of set it. From there. And then where I work, they used to meet at Memorial Park on the weekends and all that other stuff. But I don't remember if I asked you. So what got you? And this may be a recap from last time, but what got you running?
You did. You asked me what got me into ultra running, not what got me into running.
Yeah. So what got you
I
into
don't know
running?
if I want to.
Oh no! It was something about the ex, wasn't it? One of your exes. All my exes live in Texas. Okay, never mind. Yeah. So we
can talk about it. I think it's important, and we may say it more than once. But it's not easy, to be honest with you. It's not.
No,
easy. It's not easy for me to. I'm very transparent, and we want transparency from this pod. That's the one thing we do want, so I am going to tell this story. So I'm going to try to tell the short version. You know my short versions, right?
Yeah, hopefully I have enough battery on my phone. It's about 60%, but we'll see.
So I want to try to tell it with respect to what happened. The people close to me know what happened in the marriage, and this is not here nor there. That's not the important part of the story, right? Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I gotta say a little bit about it, just because it tells the story a little bit better. So when someone leaves you for someone else,
right,
you want to look in the mirror, and for me, I'm a person that looks at reflection and tries to, well, why what I do, you know, like, and there was no reason given to what I did. It's just like, hey, this is over.
Right.
So
I do remember this, yeah.
So I literally am sitting there, and my kids, 2 of them are out of the house, 3 of them still lived at home with us. She left, and I'm literally sitting there trying to figure out, what am I gonna do? This has never happened to me in my life. So it was really devastating, and how I'm gonna handle this in my head, you know, like, and how am I gonna let my kids see this, and so on. That's their mother, you know, so all these things are going on. But for me personally, I can remember one day coming home from work, it wasn't too long after, maybe a week or so, and I'm just sitting there, I look in the mirror and I go, damn, that's why she left. And I just looked in that mirror and I'm like, you're one fat motherfucker. Sorry to use that word, but that's really what I thought. Like, who would want to be with this guy? Like, really? Like, no, you know, that just made me, that's just what I thought.
Right.
And so I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to change it. I didn't know what to do differently. I didn't have any clue. And then, I don't know if it was somewhere soon after that, I was reminded, at my old job, we used to have this thing called Live Smart, and they would give you checkups every year. It was to keep your health better, healthy clean food, all those kind of, eat your portions right. Nutritionists came in, and they check it all the time. And so I knew him pretty good. I think his name was Steve. And he knew me pretty good, and so he said, "Hey, Chris, your chart looks like you're going in the wrong direction." And mainly he talked about my waistline, right? And so at that time, I just blew it off when he said it.
Right.
He says it, saying the same thing he tells me every year. But he did say at the end, he goes, "You need to start moving. You need to start doing something extra, because you're at that line where," and I still blew it off. But when I remembered, because I think it was like waist was 48 inches, and he rewound, he could show me every year what my waist was, and he went back 4 years, and it grew 2 inches every year. He went all the way down to 40. He was like,
Wow.
you were used to be this, and now this is where and I didn't really, you just don't realize it when you're in the, you know, I wasn't doing anything.
Right.
I was in that hamster wheel of work, home, sleep. Work, home. I was just like a zombie. So all that kind of connected in my brain, and I said, okay, I'm gonna do what he said. I'm gonna walk. Went down to the park, started walking, and then eventually I would walk every day. My kids would see me get up and go walk every day. There was a time, I remember it was raining, and I didn't want to run in the rain, so I had this little thing in the garage that went like this. So I was in there, and I remember jamming out to some loud music. I listened to some really ugly music at the time because I was not happy. I was not happy in my head, and so it was always like some hardcore Eminem or some gangster rap that was like just mad at the world I was. And that's when I would work it out I would just work it out, is what I felt like, just sweat all that crap out. And I remember one time my daughter walked in, "Are you crying?" "No, I'm not crying." I was not crying. It was just a bad time, man. It was bad. And so what got me to the running was I just decided, I was like, oh, there was 4 trash cans around this little half-mile loop. I'm gonna run to that trash can. And that's really how easy running can start. I decided to run to a trash can. And then I walked to the next one. Then I said, oh, I'm gonna run. And so over months, eventually I'm running circles around that thing. Because I just kept on adding the trash cans more and more and more. Just a gradual, nobody taught me, nobody helped me. I just decided to run, kind of like Forrest Gump. So that's really how it started. That's where it all kind of started from.
So speaking of trash cans, Laura, hi Laura, if you ever watch this, when we were training, when I was training for snow driving, now she's finished it or whatever, but we would literally count light poles because we count light poles so we could stop. We got 5 light poles to go, and then we can take a break.
Nothing wrong with that.
Hey, you know, that's one thing I'm not a big fan of for some particular races, because, you know, what is it, your aid station to whatever 3 miles, and to me that's the longest 3 miles ever. You know, I mean, it wasn't necessarily to say, You know, but then of course, if it's not the aid station or whatever, I'm looking at my watch and saying, I'm only at whatever mile. I'm only at whatever mile.
So what if we give? I thought about this too, because earlier before we started the podcast, we were talking about stuff we wanted to talk about, and we didn't really have a clue, so we just decided to turn it on and kind of flow with it. And what if we do like some type of a tip that we can give to a beginner? Because I don't really have much. And I will say this, I'm going to say this respectfully to everybody out there. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I love them all. There's all kind of shapes and sizes. We're not going to be the podcast. So if you're tuned in right now to learn how to be fast or to learn how to not make mistakes, you're at the wrong place. Okay? We can share our stories. I just never wanted, I think there's a lot of, and I probably said this last time, I'll just keep repeating it. There's going to be a lot of other podcasts that we can steer you to, or I can steer you to because you don't listen to them, in order to get some good training tips and some coaches probably. If somebody reaches out to me and wants me to shout them out, of course I would. Maybe one of the 3 people that watches will need a coach. But with that being said, there is things I think that we do have of value that can maybe help a mistake we might probably made, that maybe if you come across this and it maybe you don't want to make that same mistake. Like maybe it's one, because it made me think about it when you said looking at your watch. So I had a coach tell me one time, here's gonna be my first tip. I had a coach tell me one time, he says, put a piece of tape over your watch so you don't look at it.
Right.
Because sometimes you get in your head. And I will tell you, at Jackalope, the last one I did, my watch died. And when my watch died, just worrying about the lap I needed to complete changed the game for me.
Right.
I stopped worrying about my pace, and being disappointed I was going so slow. I just said, I got 11 more laps. Oh, I got 10 more laps. I wasn't caring about how fast. I was just knocking out laps. So I think if anybody's going to, and it's probably an overplayed thing. A lot of people say it. It just took me 3 years to learn it. That I think that's another one that, before I go on my tangent about giving a bunch of tips, but I think I'm an individual who doesn't listen very well. I don't listen. You ever get that from me?
Well, yeah, we talked about your lack of communication.
That is definitely a thing. I struggle with that.
So one thing I would say is shoes. Shoes. Did I say shoes?
You want to wear shoes?
Well, the thing is some, and I was just as guilty. Because believe it or not, I don't like spending a whole lot of money on stuff unless it's, guitars. I don't like.
There's a penny right there.
Where?
Oh, he almost jumped. You saw him? You said where too? You looking for it? Where that penny at?
Where that penny at? No, so I mean, the thing is I would go, and I'm sure they may work well for others.
Right.
But I'd go to Academy or something. Now, maybe once you find out what your shoe type is and what you need, of course, because I'm a bigger guy, I'm a fan of Hoka.
Right.
Now, Hokas are not cheap. But, the thing is, especially if you want
There's no such
to start
thing as
running.
cheap and running, period.
Yeah. And maybe continue running and progressing and things like that, you're going to need good shoes. So that, if I would say maybe one for anything, go to a shoe store. A lot of them, they will have you stand on these machines and things. And
right.
See, whatever. I mean, I remember we used to run on the treadmill and they would video it.
Yeah.
To see their pronouns, see how you land.
The funny thing is, I went to buy some shoes not too long ago, and maybe, I don't know, before I got hurt. So I guess it was over a year ago. And they put me, let's put you on what size do you wear? And I said, I wear a size 11. Well, let's put you on the machine. And I hadn't been on the machine in a while, right?
Right.
So I got on the machine, and it was a new one. It was at Fleet Feet.
Yes.
And I got on the machine, and they go, you need at least 11 and a half. I was like, what? They go, yeah, you're barely over. We like to say you get 2 fingers in the front for space. And I was like, this whole time I've been wearing the wrong size. Yeah. I don't know who makes up these rules.
Well, no, because if
that
you
could be a
think
whole
about
other subject for me. Yeah. Like, who makes up the rules? Like you said, not every shoe. That's why there's 100 different brands.
Yes.
You got to find yours.
Yeah, and plus, so when talking about it, so, the thing is, supposedly, especially if you're going to do long distance or whatever else, your feet's going to swell.
Right.
So you need that little extra space.
Some people buy extra shoes a size bigger for a race.
That might
That's
be
a lot of money. That is some people. That's not you. I know that's not you. You know what Lisa does?
What?
We haven't said Lisa's name yet in the podcast. That's like a crime.
Yeah, I mean, and we're
almost 30 minutes in.
I'm sorry, Lisa.
We're sorry, Lisa.
But I brought your name up first last time. Anyway, go ahead.
So I brought it up first this time.
Yeah.
Lisa, I really like this thing that she does. She will pull out sandals.
Yes, she does the sandals.
And it lets your feet breathe. I think that is
so
so smart.
Man,
I see a lot of people doing it, but Lisa was in my world, you know, I know there's probably people out there saying, oh, everybody's been doing that for a long time. Hey, in my little small bubble, I saw Lisa doing it, and it really got me thinking, I need to get me some good sandals. Hoka just came out with some sandals, but I didn't see men's, I only saw women's.
So the sad thing is it is what it is, but for the Ultra, I took laps in Crocs.
Hey, people do that. I see them do that all the time. Yeah. I see them in flip-flops. I see them.
But I mean, you know, you didn't have the constriction, and your feet was able.
So this is going to confuse people when they say, "Oh, you're running a race." So I'm going to tell you a secret about ultras. Mm-hmm. A secret that I don't think you know.
Okay.
Probably 75% or more is walking. I'm sorry. Power hiking.
Power hiking.
We don't say walking.
Oh. Is that where they have the sticks?
No, it's just, so I gotta.
What are you laughing for?
Because I forget that you're not on all the ultra things that I'm on. And so there's this, it's just a funny joke amongst ultra runners. There's this page on Instagram that says, it's called Your Boy Scott Jurek. So all he does is make funny memes about ultra running. He's just making fun of all the stuff we do. If something big is going on in the world of ultra running, he's posting about it. He's making funny memes about it. They are hilarious, but you have to be in the know of what. And power hiking, he has one now where everybody has a power hike. Because the truth of the matter is, unless you're an elite athlete or a really good athlete, which is probably 2 to 3% of the people at the races,
right,
are running the whole time. The rest are hiking or walking. A ton of it, 70-80% of it.
Yeah.
So you need to. Lisa taught me this too. Sorry, I'm giving Lisa all the credit. You got to learn how to walk right, because you're going to do more walking and hiking than you are running. And if you train all this running, this is what she told me. She goes, you train all that running, you run fast, she'd always beat me. Mm-hmm. Because when I walked, I didn't know how to walk, and I walked like a 25-minute mile. Mm-hmm. But she is walking a 15-minute mile. But I'm running 12 minutes, but how long? For 25% of the time? The rest of the time I'm doing 20. Oh, that's easy math, right?
Yeah.
So, anyway, I didn't want to get on too much of a tangent, but let's, you want to pick a, hey, grab that right there. Hey, grab that thing right there. That cassette thing you wanted to show everybody.
It is a DVD.
Not
a cassette.
DVD. This right here, I don't know how good we can see it.
Yeah.
This is called Dear Chelsea.
Yeah, that's the story behind Snowdrop.
This is, so I don't know if is it on YouTube or anything, do you think?
I'm not for sure, but I can ask. I know that they're going to do the, we'll talk about it for the next one.
We'll have to do that, but I'm also going to.
Let me see, when was this? Go ahead, no, I was just trying to look for something real quick. Wow, this is 109, this is a pretty long DVD.
Kind of all over the place, but I wanted to say that one thing I wanted to make sure I do, maybe each episode, or when we do have people doing stuff that we know or that's that we know or we've seen, we can kind of give them a shout out.
Yeah.
Like, good job. Like just congratulations, because I want us to have a little community cheering each other on. You know what I mean? Like, what if we go to races sometimes? Well, we could do live videos at races.
Didn't somebody just talk about that?
I don't know who it was.
I wonder who that was.
Was it Lisa?
No, I don't think it was.
I know. You're right. You did say that. You did say that. No, well,
I mean, and so since you're talking about...
The problem is you're leaving me to be the IT guy, and I don't know very much about it, but I can do a live video. No, I can press a button and say, live. We're live here.
Yes, you can. And the thing that impresses...
We're live here at Snowdrop.
The thing that impresses me that you can really do, which I think is cool, is how you can get the writing to go along as you're speaking.
Oh,
that's pretty awesome. I know.
Everybody can do that. I thought you was gonna say something. I thought you was gonna say something serious, like, oh my God.
You're like, hey, how are you? So speaking of, since I know you like to bring up Lisa, can we share her thing coming up? Can we share that?
I don't know.
or
I didn't get permission yet. We'll have to wait.
Yeah,
we'll have to wait.
So something pretty cool that that we may or may not share. And
No, we were going to share it. She already said we can.
Oh.
Like, I already asked her if she would come on the pod. She said, yeah, of course she will.
Yeah.
Of course she will. Y'all need some views, is what she actually said.
pretty
She didn't
much.
say that, but
The truth
we
be
gotta,
known,
we got to do what we got to do. But we want to cheer any and everybody on that we know. If we meet new people, we want to be a community that shares stories. And I don't care where your pace is. I don't care how fast or slow or walk or run or crawl, or you just graduated and you did, your master's or your bachelor's, you graduated high school. I don't care. Everybody deserves to be celebrated, and there should be no, oh, they didn't meet the criteria. We don't have no criteria. The criteria is you got something to celebrate, you tell us and we'll talk about it,
Yeah, so guess what? I have more DNFs in ultras than I have finishes. How's that?
That's crazy.
Not
I
really,
can't say the same for myself, bro.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how many 100-milers do you have?
Well, I have 2, but they, 100-hour 100-milers.
Oh, 100 hours. Hey.
Not 55 hours or 55 under 55 hour.
No, I'm just kidding.
So
No, it's funny because I believe some people say that it's is it 36 hours? Some races or whatever, the 100 miles.
they all have different
it's 36
times.
hours, yeah.
I want to try to. We're doing it without doing it, and it's a hard thing not to do. But you start talking about pace and this and that. I need to remember that doesn't really matter. I'm down in my own 100 miles that I did, right? Because I'm saying, oh, it's not in 55 hours. By saying that, it's like I'm taking away from my own accomplishment, which I am proud of doing 100 miles in 100 hours, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a different. Everybody's journey is different.
Well, no, what's interesting is, but I think the reason is because most runs have times.
Right.
They have their time limits,
Right.
The, what is it, Houston Marathon, is it 6 hours, 6.5
so.
hours or something like that, And then, of course, Snowdrop's 55. Jackalope has all the 24s or whatever, the 72s, the 100s. So, I mean, but that's kind of what they do.
I
But
think just wherever you're at, is where you're at.
yeah.
And whatever you want to do is what you want to do, and we'll celebrate it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it's not about, yeah, I mean, like I told him, I mean, I say I'll never be first. I mean, I guess maybe when I was that one run, but that was in my
At least it happened once for you.
40 years ago almost. But that's,
I watched this other podcast.
No.
Yes, and I was really surprised by it. If they watch this, it's not a diss to anybody. I'm just surprised. It was a good surprise, right? Like, you always put an image, unfortunately, at least I'm going to be real with everybody. If you say you don't have an image of what something is like before you see it or watch it, I don't know how accurate that is. I think anything you get in, like if you see a guy that's, let's just say, built to the T, you're going to have it, before you ever talk to him, you might put an image in your head of what the world tells you he should be like, right?
Yeah, I'm going to follow up with that in a second.
So with that being said, before I saw this podcast, I had watched just a smidge bit of another one of the same one, but this one I put it down and I played and I just sat down because I usually would watch them on my TV at home. Like, so it's in I live in a tiny home, so it's like my TV is right in front of my face because I'm getting old and it's hard to see, but it's like 55 inches, I think, and it's like 5 feet from me. So I sit back in the recliner. What?
You're like, and it's 5 people.
Because it literally is like right there in front of me. I can get up and touch it. But anyway, maybe 10 feet. But anyway, the point is, so I watched it and I watched the whole thing. And it was really, and I like to give props, really well put together. I mean, it's really like it was very good. So I was assuming, I'm just going to say it. It's called the Neff Pace. So he is the race director for trail racing over Texas, right? So he's the race director, but he's also an elite runner, an elite road runner.
Okay.
But now he's doing trail runs as well. Cal, I'm sorry if I mess it up any, but I don't know all of his background or whatever. But I do know it looks like most of his background is in road running, and he's really fast, like a 2:18 marathon, right? And so, I did put him on my fantasy pick on trail run. Trail running has a fantasy page. You can pick people you want, and I put him like 5th place to win the canyons, to be in the canyons thing, and that's like the top of the top trail runners to run this 100K. But anyway, so he told that story. What I really enjoyed is it's him and his wife, and they were really transparent. I was not expecting that. They were really transparent about stuff about their house, stuff about what they've been through. They were talking about this marriage, which I'm really interested in seeing. They're talking about a marriage series that they're going through at church, and they want to kind of bring that to their podcast. And he said something that made me think that I wanted to talk about. If I don't want to get off what you were just thinking about, I don't want to lose your time, so I'll end it here. But he wanted to. He was saying that they were going to bring that. I lost my train of thought all of a sudden.
Well, you said something about the marriage. They were going through a marriage thing, and they were thinking about maybe bringing
through the church. Oh, so what he said was not to push the religion thing on people. That's the first thing he said.
Right.
So I thought about this because I also had a thing. Okay, I need to look at my phone and so I can explain this better. But let me let you finish what you were going to say, because I was starting to say something and you said, "Oh, did you remember what I was going to?"
Yeah. So no, when you talked about looking at somebody and whatever,
Right.
So I'm saying don't get judgmental if we look at somebody.
Right.
So maybe not in the same instant, but
I'm not judging them. I'm just have a perception of them.
Perception. So, and maybe I'm just as guilty, but what's funny is when I was out doing Memorial Park, that's usually where we do the training runs at. And there were different people, and you got to get perceptions or whatever. So I was out at the Woodlands, the Ironman several years ago, probably 10 years ago, maybe, I guess I was out there. And I was watching them as they were coming out of the swim. And that's one thing I have a hard time doing, is getting through the swim part. And you figure, as fat as I am, a whale floats fine. What the hell is my problem? Even a dolphin.
You don't have big enough flippers, probably.
Why?
I don't know. I wasn't talking about that flipper, bro.
So
maybe that was holding you back.
But there was these guys that came out. And these dudes were big. And look, guys, I'll be the last. I'll say I have FAO. And if you didn't watch last time, FAO, fat and old. I claim that. These guys, I hate to say it, literally looked like they came from a dang food eating contest. But guess what they did that I did not?
They swam.
They swam and they finished it within that cutoff.
Wow.
Now I've only tried Oil Man. But that Oil Man half
what?
It's called Oil Man.
Oil? They oiled you up like baby oil or what? Like
Well, pretty much, yeah. They had to oil me up to try to put me in that undersized suit that I was in. So, but the swim is the first part. But man, the waves were so bad that you could really only breathe to one side. And so, of course, you needed to go to this side to kind of make your way around. But of course, I'm looking to this side, so now I'm swimming this way.
Oh my God.
Oh, dude,
I can't swim, so I don't know.
Dude, it was absolutely brutal. But I get what you're saying. So, and in some cases, I learned the hard way, and some don't really, just because someone I may have that perception from looking, and they get it done.
Exactly. Everybody has their own story.
Everybody, yeah. So and I was like,
somewhere.
I was like, man, kudos to them, because I was paying $40 something, $50 something, 60. I can't remember what it was, a month taking training lessons. Now it wasn't one-on-one for swimming,
right.
But still, I'm like, I was paying, and I'm like, and I don't know if these guys were, but man, they were doing it.
That sounds good, man. Let me. There's a couple of things. My wife texted me.
Yeah, well.
I told her, podcast at Brian's today, just remind you. I didn't remember, but enjoy. Maybe we can read texts that people send us today. What are your plans this weekend for my daughter Farah?
Man, look at you.
I'm having surgery.
Let me see what my messages are. Oh, never mind. I don't have any.
I don't have any. So, but what I wanted to, the reason I picked it up, I don't want to be, shout out to Mickey. Mickey watched the podcast, so he was one of the 3 people. And let me scroll back because we're talking about him. He said, good first episode. What's the name of the podcast? And then a few minutes later, he goes, got to the end. you asked for name suggestions, so he realized we don't have a name. So he gave us a name and suggestions. It's called Running Our Mouths with Chris and Brian.
That's pretty good.
Hey, it's high up on the list. It's high. It's definitely high up on the list. We got a little list going. It's definitely high, but I really like it. So anybody else got any more suggestions? We definitely want to hear it. Mickey, by the way, is who got me into a whole different mindset of ultra running. He's a hunting buddy of mine that I met through another friend. I met out in the woods, actually hunting at camp. And one day we were talking about running and all that, and he told me, "You ever heard of Cameron Haynes?" And I was like, "No." He's a bow hunter, but he's also an ultra runner. So and then you heard of David Goggins? So he was kind of the one who sent me, and I'm big into David Goggins. Well, I haven't been lately because I've been kind of what David would say, I'm being a little bitch, crying about my little foot hurt. Like he doesn't like people to cry about their foot being hurt. Just go do the work. Anyway, before we get into that, I don't want to really get into that today, but thanks, Mickey. He kind of got me set on fire. He sent me the book so I could listen to it.
Right. And
it really changed I'm really starting to be a little nerdy about learning how the brain works and all that kind of stuff. So thanks, Mickey, for that. What else was there? Oh, so let's go backwards to this religion thing. So I wanted to say something real quick. And again, most Christians know this. We're never pushing religion. That's not what we do. But I don't ever want to be ashamed of it.
And to be honest, I don't like the word religion.
Okay.
Or religious.
I don't know what that. I don't know.
Yeah.
What would you say?
Well, no. I'm thinking that because the thing is, so I was talking the other day, so that Bible study that you still haven't showed up for. But
why are you gonna call me out all the time?
Look, we're only 2 weeks in. So
luckily,
anyway,
only 4 people. Maybe this week 4 people will watch.
Yeah, well, but what was interesting was that we always talk about it because what's interesting is I have friends that are different faiths or different religions.
Same, of course.
I
have some friends don't believe at all. Some of my best friends.
Yeah, well, that's So but what was interesting was no, it's just one of those things because what's interesting is the gentleman that's teaching the Bible study. I will come up to him and I'll talk to him, and he'll come up and he'll read something from the Bible and says this contradicts their religion, or whatever type thing. But anyway, so I just don't believe it is what it is. It's more a relationship than a religion. But anyway,
everybody has different views. I guess what the point for me was that you shouldn't be ashamed in what you believe in.
Right.
And so here's the one that, so this is from a podcast that I listen to called Free Trail. And it's a pretty popular thing. So
Well,
I'm not trying to get I'm not Free Trail.
Okay.
I'm not trying to get any clickbait or anything like that. That's not what I'm about. I just want to tell this, and I'm not going to tell all the details of the story, but just to make it because he kind of says in here that somebody used the word reverence or reverence.
Reverence.
Is it reverence?
I say
Sorry,
reverence,
I suck at. So they use that word, and I didn't really know what it meant. So I was reading this. He sent this email out, and he says he's a fan of the word, so he studied the word or whatever. And then he wrote this thing. It says, "I've never considered myself a religious person, but as I get older, I do feel drawn to the search for things that are worthy of worship. As trail runners, we often feel connected with one another, not only due to shared passion for outdoor movement, but also because we've all been lucky to touch the profound experiences that in our hearts we understand to be sacred. Most days are average, some days are miserable, but every so often, for many of us, the practice is close to a religious experience." And then he said, his grandmother passed away, and so the thing I said, what I told him was, because he really didn't say anything about if he was a Christian or was not a Christian, because he's in a big spotlight. He gets paid to do what he does. We're not getting paid, right? So it don't matter what we say, right? So but what if so I'm trying to put myself in his shoes. What if I'm a God believer and that's where my foundation is, because that's where my foundation is, and somebody sponsored us and they said, "No, you can't talk about God. You have to make it. Do you feed your family, or do you trust in your God to provide? Even though you tell that sponsor, I'm sorry, that's not negotiable for me." So I felt like I would hate to be, we don't have to go into the subject, but I would hate to be that person that believes in something so much, whatever it is, and then for a sponsor